Let me tell you something most women won't ever say out loud. We don't fall in love with your money. We don't fall in love with your looks. We fall in love with how you make us feel. And sometimes, the very reason a woman pulls away from you, ghosts you, or puts you in the friend zone isn't because you're not enough. It's because you never gave her a reason to feel safe, seen, and desired all at once. There are thousands of good men, decent, kind-hearted men walking around confused and bitter because they did everything right and still got left behind. But here's the truth, my dear. Attraction is emotional, not logical. A woman doesn't choose to beg to be with you, she just does. But it only happens when you activate the parts of her soul that crave a man, not a boy. When you lead with presence, power, and emotional depth without chasing, performing, or faking. In this video, I'll show you 3 life-changing things you can do starting today that will shift how women respond to you, not just physically, but emotionally. If you're tired of being overlooked, ghosted, or just want to connect on a deeper level, stay with me. This might change everything. Most men don't realize this, but women can sense emotional energy long before you ever open your mouth. You might think you're playing it cool, saying the right things, smiling at the right moments, responding just fast enough to not seem clingy. But if beneath all that, you're craving her validation, she will feel it. And the truth is that kind of energy doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel strong. It feels off. A woman doesn't want to be chased like a prize. She wants to be drawn in, almost like a flower leaning towards sunlight. And for that to happen, you must become the stillness she's searching for. Stillness is not laziness. It's not silence or apathy. Stillness is a quiet confidence, a rooted energy that says, I know who I am. I don't need to prove it to you. When you walk into a room with stillness, she notices. When you sit across from her and you're not trying to impress, she relaxes. When your energy says you're free to come close or walk away, either way, I remain whole. She feels your power. You see, desperation is noisy. It talks too much. It texts too fast. It laughs too hard at jokes that aren't funny. It wants something and it wants it now. Stillness, on the other hand, invites curiosity. It makes her wonder, why isn't he chasing me like the others? Why does he feel so different? Because stillness is rare. And in a world full of anxious energy and validation-hungry men, the one who remains calm, composed, and present stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. Women are not drawn to chaos, they're drawn to containment. To the man who doesn't react to every emotion she throws at him. To the man who doesn't need her attention to feel enough. If you want her to beg to be with you, stop trying to pull her in. Become the gravity she can't escape. Let her come to you not because you chased, but because your stillness reminded her of what she didn't know she was looking for. Here's something most men forget. Women are wired for emotional discovery. We don't just want to know you, we want to uncover you. Slowly, deliberately, one thoughtful layer at a time. But when you hand over every detail of your life in the first few conversations, when you spill your goals, your past, your pain, your dreams, your daily schedule, and your intentions for her, you leave nothing for her to explore. It's like handing someone a beautifully wrapped gift, but telling them exactly what's inside, how much it cost, and where you bought it. No wonder she loses interest. Mystery isn't about being cold, rude, or manipulative. It's about creating space for curiosity to grow. When you reveal yourself too quickly, it signals 2 things. You're trying too hard to be liked. You don't value your emotional privacy. But when you slow down, when you share your stories only when they naturally fit the moment, when you speak with calm precision instead of rushing to fill every silence, she starts to lean in. Because mystery sparks imagination, and imagination is the birthplace of desire. Ask yourself this: if she already knows everything about you, what reason does she have to stay? But if she walks away from the conversation thinking, there's something about him, I can't quite put my finger on it, then you've done it right. Women don't need a man who's a puzzle we're not trying to solve you. But we do long for a man who carries himself with emotional discipline, a man who doesn't give his story away cheaply, a man who reveals things over time, not to impress, but to connect. The more time she spends around you, the more you reveal, not because you're trying to win her, but because you're letting her earn access to your world. And when that happens, she doesn't just want to be with you, she becomes emotionally invested in who you are underneath the surface. Be intriguing, be intentional, be a little unknown. Because mystery, when done with grace, is magnetic. One of the biggest mistakes men make in dating, especially when they really like a woman, is thinking that more effort equals more attraction. So what do? They chase, they double text, they cancel plans for her. They try harder every time she pulls away, thinking, if I just show her how much I care, she'll finally choose me. But attraction doesn't work that way. In fact, the more you chase her, the more she runs. Because deep down, chasing tells her one thing. This man doesn't see his own worth. He needs me to validate it. Let me offer you something more powerful. Mirror her. Don't chase her. If she texts late, you respond late. If she pulls back, you slow down. If she becomes cold, you stay calm but distant. You're not punishing her. You're not playing games. You're simply matching her energy with self-respect. Because here's what you need to understand. A woman will often test your emotional frame without even realizing it. She wants to know, will he keep chasing me even when I give less? Will he abandon himself just to win me? And when you do, she loses respect. Not because you're unkind, but because you're too available. But when you mirror her, instead of chasing, you show her something rare. A man who can stay connected without becoming desperate. A man who values himself too much to beg for attention. That's attractive. That's powerful. That's what shifts her behavior. When she feels that you won't abandon your boundaries to earn her love, she begins to step up emotionally, energetically, and even physically, because emotional balance is magnetic. And women don't want a man who's always chasing. They want a man who holds the frame and invites her into it. So next time she pulls away or sends mixed signals, don't panic. Don't try harder. Don't chase. Mirror. Pause. Hold your ground. Let her come toward you, because real attraction happens when you don't chase love. You attract it by being whole without it. If you want to stand out in a world full of men sliding into her DMs with fire emojis and empty compliments, then stop talking to her ego and start speaking to her soul. You see, most men only notice what every other man sees. Her looks, her curves, her smile, her outfit. So they lead with flattery, thinking it will get them noticed. You're so beautiful. Wow, you're gorgeous. You're the most stunning girl I've ever seen. But here's the truth. That's not what she remembers. Because beauty, while appreciated, is not rare. But being seen, truly, deeply seen, that's an experience she rarely gets. When a woman meets a man who looks beyond her exterior and says, "You seem like someone who's learned through pain," or "There's something powerful behind your calm, like you've had to hold it together for others," she pauses. Because suddenly, it's not about how she looks. It's about who she, island. You've reached past her ego and touched her soul. And that's where emotional connection begins. So how do you do this? You listen. You listen not just to her words, but what's beneath them. You ask questions no one else asks. You pay attention to her pauses, her energy, the stories she avoids telling. You're not trying to win her approval. You're offering your presence. And from that space, you say the things that don't just make her feel desired. They make her feel understood. That's what awakens feminine energy. Not just being wanted, but being witnessed. Not being adored for her appearance, but being acknowledged for her essence. Here's the part most men miss. When a woman feels emotionally seen, her body follows. Because the soul responds before the skin ever does. So stop trying to impress her. Start trying to understand her. Speak into the parts of her that no one else pays attention to. The woman who feels emotionally safe with you will not only stay, she'll open. Mentally, emotionally, and yes, physically. Because you didn't speak to her ego like the others. You spoke to her soul like a man who truly sees her. Let's be honest. There's nothing more repelling than a man who's lost himself in the pursuit of a woman. And nothing more magnetic than a man who's consumed by something bigger than her. Here's what most men don't realize. You were not born to chase women. You were born to build, to grow, to lead, to pursue a purpose that sets your soul on fire and leaves a mark on the world. That's your true source of power and attraction. Yet so many men abandon their purpose the moment a beautiful woman shows interest. Suddenly, the gym doesn't matter. The business takes a back seat. The vision fades. Because now all his energy is wrapped up in her. But listen to me carefully. When a man makes a woman the center of his world, she starts looking for the exit. Not because she doesn't care, but because she senses something deeper. He's not rooted. He's orbiting around her. And a woman can never feel safe in a world that spins around her emotions. Women don't want to be your reason for living. They want to witness you living for something greater and choose to stand beside that fire. When you're deeply committed to your purpose, whether it's building a business, healing your body, learning a craft, or chasing a vision, your energy shifts. You're not trying to be confident. You become confident. You're not asking for attention. You attract it effortlessly. You're not clinging to her. You're inviting her into your forward-moving life. That's when she wants to be around you, not because you've begged for her time, but because your mission makes her feel safe and inspired. So here's the truth. If you're losing yourself to win her, you'll lose both. But if you stay committed to your path with or without her, you give her a reason to chase you. Your purpose isn't a distraction from love. It's the very thing that makes love worth sharing. Never forget, she doesn't want to be your life. If there's one trait that separates boys from men in the eyes of a woman, it's this: boundaries. Not just having them, but being willing to hold them without fear, without apology, and without drama. Because here's what many men don't understand. Women test boundaries, not to be manipulative, but to see if you'll fold under pressure, to see if you value your principles more than you value her approval. She might show up late. She might cancel plans last minute. She might say something disrespectful just to see how you react. Not because she wants chaos, but because she wants security. And a man who doesn't enforce his boundaries teaches her one thing: I can walk all over him and he'll still stay. That doesn't make her feel loved.